Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Srimad Bhagavatam. So, which verse did we do yesterday? Text 37. How many of you have memorized that verse? Okay, Daiva Shakti raised her hand first. Let's hear her. Okay, very good. So, and Radha Vallabh's hand went up the last. So let's hear Radha Vallabh recite.
Etasmatam samatishta parameṣṭhinam samadhina bhavam vikalpa vikalpeshu nāvma hete paśyata.
Gorhichit. Okay. Another thing, Deva Shakti, what is the difference between Dantasha, Talivasha and Manthanasha? Dantasha is Sa. Bangladesh Sha is Sha. But in Sanskrit, there is a difference between Sa, Sha and Sha. Right? Danto, Talibba and Murdha. It's not Shamadhina, it's Samadhina. Sa. So take note of that, especially the Bengali devotees. There is a Sa, Dantasha, Sa. And Aishwarya Talibashakta kibhabe hobe? ওটা উচ্চারণটা কোথা থেকে হবে? তালিব্যটা তালু, তালু থেকে শা। আর মূর্ধা মানে ব্রেন, ওটা আরো বেশি। যেমন শ্রী শুকা uvāca. Śrī Śukadeva meaning Śrī Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, sampradiśya, fully instructing Brahmājī, evam, thus, ajana, the Supreme Lord, janānāṁ, of the living entities, parameṣṭhinam, unto the Supreme Leader Brahmā, paśyataḥ, while he was seeing, tasya, his, tat rūpam, that transcendental form, ātmanaḥ, of the absolute, nyaruṇad, disappeared, Hari, the Lord, the personality of Godhead. So, the meaning of this verse then is, Śrī Śukadeva Gosvāmī said to Mahārāja Parīkṣit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in his transcendental form, instructing Brahmājī, the leader of the living entities, disappeared. So, Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, sampradiśyaivam ajano. Acha, okay. Here the English has been divided in two words. Sampradiśyaivam 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 ajano janānāṁ parameṣṭhinam paśyatas tasya tad rūpam ātmano nyaruṇad Hari. Sampradiśyaivam ajano janānāṁ parameṣṭhinam paśyatas tasya tad rūpam ātmano nyaruṇad dhariḥ. Okay, so what is the first word of the first line? Okay.
sampradiśyaivam evam ajano.
Then the first word of the second line.
janānāṁ parameṣṭhinam.
What's the first word of the third line? Okay, and what is the first word of the fourth line? Okay, up to the chat. Okay, tomorrow.
ātmano nyaruṇad.
I can see that many of you have been preparing yourself. How many of you memorized the verse already? Okay. So still today? Just two? Okay. And how many of you will memorize it tomorrow? Very good. Thank you. Okay. Śrī Śukadeva sampradiśyaivam ajano janānāṁ parameṣṭhinam paśyatas tasya tad rūpam ātmano nyaruṇad hari. Śrī Śukadeva Śrī Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, sampradiśya, fully instructing Brahmājī, evam, thus, ajanaḥ, the Supreme Lord, janānāṁ, of the living entities, parameṣṭhinam, unto the Supreme Leader Brahmā, paśyataḥ, while he was seeing, tasya, his, tat rūpam, that transcendental form, ātmanaḥ, of the absolute, nyaruṇad, disappeared, dhariḥ, the Lord, the Personality of Godhead. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Śukadeva Gosvāmī said to Mahārāja Parīkṣit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in his transcendental form, instructing Brahmājī, the leader of the living entities, disappeared. Repeat after me. Śukadeva Gosvāmī said to Mahārāja Parīkṣit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in his transcendental form, instructing Brahmājī, the leader of the living entities, disappeared. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, it is clearly mentioned that the Lord is ajanaḥ, or the Supreme Person, and that He was showing His transcendental form, ātmano, rūpam, to Brahmājī, while instructing him in the summarization of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses. He is ajana, or the Supreme Person, amongst janānāṁ, or all persons. All living entities are individual persons, and amongst all such persons, Lord Hari is supreme, as confirmed in Shruti mantra, nitya nityanam chetanas chetananam. So there is no place for impersonal features in the transcendental world, as there are impersonal features in the material world. Whenever there is chetana, or knowledge, the personal feature comes in. In the spiritual world, everything is full of knowledge, and therefore everything in the transcendental world, the Lord, the water, the tree, the mountain, the river, the man, the animal, the bird, everything is of the same quality, namely chetana. And therefore, everything there is individual and personal. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us this information as the supreme Vedic literature, and it was personally instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahmājī, so that the leader of the living entities might broadcast the message to all in the universe in order to teach the supreme knowledge of Bhakti Yoga. Brahmājī in his turn instructed Narada, his beloved son, the same message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Narada in his turn taught the same to Vāsudeva, who again taught it to Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Through Śukadeva Gosvāmī's grace and by the mercy of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, we are all given Srimad Bhagavatam perpetually to learn the science of the absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So in this verse, in the text, Prabhupada is emphatically pointing out that how the absolute truth, the ultimate absolute personality of Godhead is a person. God is a person. And when there is a personality, there is form. So Prabhupada is very particular about this point, because there is a gross misconception floating nowadays in the form of impersonalism and voidism. Nirvisheshvad and shunyavad. Voidism has become prevalent through Buddhism And Nirvisheshvad or Mayavad has been established through Shankaracharya's teachings. Now previously many times we discussed that why did it happen? Why Lord Buddha, who is an incarnation of God, came and propagated a theory like Shunyavad, voidism, Shunya. Everything is nothing. Shunya means zero. And zero means nothing. So ultimately everything will become nothing. Why did Lord Buddha do that? How many of you remember why Lord Buddha preached Shunyavad? Kevin?
In those days, the Brahmanas were performing sacrifices. They were slaughtering animals. Lord Buddha came to establish...
You mean those days? Prior to that, the Brahmanas did not perform sacrifice and slaughter animals?
They did, but they could, with the power of the Vedic mantra.
Right, yeah, very good. Yes, yeah. Prior, there is a custom, there is a Vedic practice of animal sacrifice in a sacrifice, yajna. But the purpose of that sacrifice was to test the efficacy of the yajna. And by slaughtering or sacrificing an animal, the animal used to get either a new body or used to become elevated to the heavenly planet. And then one could understand that the sacrifice has been completed. Or sacrifice has been successfully completed. But with the advent of the age of Kali, what happened? The so-called Brahmanas started to slaughter animals, to deliver the animals, but to eat the flesh of the animal. And in this way, all kinds of animals were unnecessarily being killed just to satisfy their tongue. And that's why the Lord appeared as Buddha to stop this animal sacrifice. What is the verse? How do you prove that? What I said, can it be, is it established in the Vedic understanding? Okay, Ganganarayan. Which verse established? Okay, what is the verse? Shruti Jatam Sadaya Hridaya Darshitam. Not Darshitam, Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Poshukhatam. Okay. Nindasi Jagga Videraha Shruti Jatam. Shruti Jatam means from the Vedic scriptures. The animal sacrifice that has been prescribed in the Vedas, in the name of that excuse, animals are being slaughtered. And seeing that the animals are being slaughtered in this way, Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Poshukhatam. The soft and tender heart, the merciful heart of the Lord was afflicted. And that's why he decided to stop this animal sacrifice. Now, if you want to stop something, then best way to stop it is by deal with the root of that. Yajna Vidhi, in the name of Yajna Vidhi, the animal sacrifice was going on. And what was the excuse? The Vedic scriptures. So, what did the Lord do? By appearing as Lord Buddha, he rejected the Vedas. In the name of the Vedas, the animal sacrifice was going on. So to stop that, the best way is, like if you want to stop this light, what do? Do you take all the bulbs one after another? There is one way of doing that, but that will take a long time. That's a difficult one. So the easiest way is just go to the switch and switch it off. So Lord Buddha did that. No need for the Vedas. And what did he teach? He taught the principle of adharma. He taught actually in the name of dharma, he's taught the principle, okay, let's put it this way. He taught the principle of dharma in the sense there are 10 good activities. 10 appropriate activities. What are those activities? 10 good activities. Tell the truth, do not inflict pain on anybody, and so forth. Just as in Christianity also there are 10 commandments. Actually, Old Testament, Moses received those 10 commandments from God. So Buddhism also has 10 principles. Don't tell a lie. Always stay on the path of righteousness and so forth. I don't remember them. And their philosophy is the ultimate goal of life is to attain nirvana. The goal of life, if you follow this path, then ultimately you will reach nirvana. And nirvana is, what is nirvana? His philosophy, Buddhist philosophy is, all the pain is caused by the body. It is due to the body that we have suffering. So, if you don't have the body, if it become nothing, then there won't be any suffering. The suffering is caused by our existence. So if we do not exist, then do not have any suffering. Our existence is full of suffering. So if you do not exist, then you won't have any suffering. So the ultimate goal of life is to become nothing or to merge into nothing. Ultimately there is nothing. That is what Buddhistic philosophy is. That's why it's called Shunyavad or voidism. Void. Ultimately everything is void, shunya. So you have to merge into void. You have to become nothing. Then there won't be any suffering. Then, in this way, the Lord fulfilled his purpose. He stopped the animal sacrifice. But then the Lord himself instructed Lord Shiva that I have established this voidism, and in order to do that, I have rejected the Vedas. But now, to achieve certain purpose, I have done that, and now you re-establish the Vedas. And in order, why there is the need to re-establish the Vedas? Because unless and until one follows the Vedas, one will not understand God. Ved na manya bodho hoilo nastik. Because the Buddhists do not accept the Vedas, therefore they are nastik, means atheists. Indirectly they are becoming atheists because they do not, although they are actually accepting God as Buddha, but they have become nastik. There is some positive aspect. They are following the Lord Buddha. But because they are not following the Vedas, they have become Nastic, because unless and until one approaches the Vedas, one will not have any understanding of God. Vedaischa sarvair ahomeva Veda. What the Vedas are meant for? The Vedas are meant to reveal the identity of God. So if somebody doesn't accept the Vedas, he won't get to know God. In the Vedas, there is a very clear and precise understanding of God. In no other scripture, the identity of the God has been, identity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been revealed. Like as we often discuss, like Christianity accepts God, but do they have any information about God? Who God is? No. Judaism accepts God, but who is God? No idea. Their Judaistic understanding is that God the Father, who came to Moses and gave the thing in the burning bush. But what is his form? No idea. And Islam says, don't even think of his form. Don't even think of him. You can't think about God, Allah. Accept Allah, but don't think about him. Why? Because there is no information about Allah. That's why it is so important to it became so important to establish the Vedas. That's why the Lord instructed Lord Shiva. And that's why he came as Shankaracharya. Mayavadam ashatshastram prachanna bodham uchyate mayaiva vihitam devi kalau brahmana murtina. In the age of Kali, appearing as a Brahmana, I will establish a temporary philosophy, temporary conclusion. Ashat Shastram. What is the name of that Ashat Shastram or temporary conclusion? Mayavad. Mayavadam Ashat Shastram Prachanna Bodham Uchyate, which is Prachanna Bodham, which is covered Buddhism. Buddhism is covered atheism, and Mayavad is covered Buddhism. But he needed to do that. Why he needed to do that? So that the Vedas could be re-established. In order to re-establish the Vedas, he did that. And how he did that is interesting to note. The Buddhists are saying Nirvana is the ultimate goal of life. And what is Nirvana? Is to become nothing. Now Shankaracharya came and he said that, look, this concept of Nirvana is not your concept. It's from the Vedas. And according to the Vedas, the Nirvana actually means to merge into Brahman, to merge into the Absolute. So in Buddhists are saying to merge into nothing, Shankaracharya is saying to merge into the Absolute. And what is Absolute? The Absolute is Brahman. And what is Brahman? Brahman is Nirakar Nirvishesha. Why? Because otherwise the Buddhists will not accept it. They also will, if he brought in the concept of form, then the Buddhists would say, well, that is your understanding, not ours. But he took their point. Nirvana, okay. Nirvana means not to merge in the void. Nirvana means to merge into the Brahman, or the Absolute, or Brahman. And what is Brahman? Brahman is Absolute. So the goal of life is not to become nothing. The goal of life is to become everything. So Shankaracharya just took that to the opposite extreme, and in this way he established the Vedas. And when the Vedas were established, then came Ramanujacharya and Madhacharya, and they established the personalistic concept. So it was necessary. Shankaracharya's which has been established in that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, when he was teaching Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he pointed out that tar dosh nahi teho aggakari das. So there is no problem. Actually, it is not a fault of Shankaracharya because he is following the orders of the Lord. He is simply following the orders, aggakari das. As a servant, as he is following the instruction of the Lord. That's why he established Mayavad, to achieve a purpose. But if one follows that misconstrued idea of Mayavad, then Mayavadir bhashya shunile bhai sarvanash. Tar dosh nahi teho aggakari das, Mayavadir bhashya shunile bhai sarvanash. So in this way, it is a gradual progress. And, well, an example can be given. When you have a disease, then you are given the medicine. And you know, in most cases, what the medicine is? The medicine is poison. In most cases, the medicines are actually poison. But this poison acts as an antidote to the disease. It's curing the disease. So if you have a disease, then you can take the medicine, which is a poison. But if you are a healthy person, then if you take that medicine, then what happens? You are taking poison. And what does poison do? Poison destroys you. Poison saves a diseased person, but the same poison, the same medicine which was actually saving the diseased person will kill an ordinary person who is healthy and strong. So in order to rectify the diseased condition, Shankaracharya's Mayavad was necessary at that time. But that should not be followed. That concept is not meant to be followed otherwise. In order to achieve some purpose. And what was the purpose? Why Shankaracharya established Mayavad? To re-establish the Vedas, to reinstate the Vedas, to bring the Vedas back. Actually, if you go back, during Shankaracharya's time when he came, the whole of India became Buddhist. That was the influence of Lord Buddha. The entire India actually became Buddhist. Under the patronage of, it started off with King Ashoka. The whole of India became Buddhist and it reached even other countries. He sent his preachers to Tibet, to China, to Southeast Asia, all these places, to Sri Lanka. He actually sent his own sister to Sri Lanka to preach, Shangamitra. And in this way Buddhism actually spread. But then Shankaracharya came. Not an ordinary person, Lord Shiva himself. And who are the followers of Lord Shiva? We can still see them. Like during Kumbh Mela, we can see these Naga sannyasis, the followers. Lord Shiva's, there are different types of followers of Lord Shiva. In one hand, there are peaceful people, but also Lord Shiva's associates are the ghosts and hobgoblins. So they also came and they, like Lord Shiva, Shankaracharya not only established re-established the Vedas by defeating the Buddhists, he also had another group who were not so peaceful. They had their trident in their hands, and like they were actually very ferocious. I mean, Lord Shiva, Shankaracharya established Mayavad, or defeated Buddhism, not only by preaching and defeating, but those who would not accept the defeat in that way, these nagas were used to drive them out, to take care of them. So it is said that, anyway, let's not get into that. I mean, and the result was Buddhism was driven out of India. Buddhism was driven out of India. Today we hardly see any Buddhism in India. Hardly see any Buddhists in India. And that was because of Shankaracharya. And in this way he re-established the Vedic scriptures and the Vedic practices. Then came Ramanujacharya, and he defeated, or he pointed out the flaw of Shankaracharya's Mayavad through his, now Mayavad is Kevala Dvaitavad. Kevala means only Advaita. But Ramanujacharya established his theory of Vishishta Dvaitavad, Vishishta Advaitavad. And in this way he pointed out the flaws in Shankaracharya's Mayavad or Kevala Dvaitavad. And that we considered a few times before also. Anyway, I'll give the essence of that. Shankaracharya's Kevala Dvaitavad is pointing out that all the forms are material. The variegatedness in the material is seen is material. But beyond this material nature, Brahman, which is the cause of the creation of this universe or material nature, is Advaya, is Brahman, and Brahman doesn't have any form. Brahma doesn't have any quality. Brahma doesn't have any variety. Ultimately it's all Brahman, and in Brahman there is no duality. It's one. Everything is one. Keval Advaita Vad. And the form and variety and everything that we perceive in the material nature is Maya. And Maya means illusion. And illusion means to think of something which is actually not. Illusion, mirage is an illusion. In the middle of a desert, the sand becomes hot and it appears to be oasis, appears to be water. That is mirage. A snake is mistaken to be, a rope is mistaken to be a snake. That is illusion. In this way he gave the examples of illusion or Maya. But Ramanujacharya came and pointed out, he defeated Shankaracharya's theory, very systematically. And the easy way to understand is that he is saying that mirage is mistaken to be water. And he is saying that, okay, mirage appears to be water, and it's not water, but somewhere the water is existing. That's why there is a concept of, mistaken concept of mirage to be water. The snake may not be there in the rope, but somewhere the snake is existing, that's why you have mistaken the rope to be a snake. So where is that real form? Yeah, fine, this form is illusion. This is Maya, fine. But somewhere this original form is existing. That's why we're mistaken. And where is it? That is in the spiritual sky. And this material nature is a reflection of the spiritual sky. So in this way, Ramanujacharya pointed out, defeated Shankaracharya's Kevala Dvaitavad and established Vishishta, through establishing Vishishta Dvaitavad, he established the variegated nature of the spiritual reality. Spiritual sky is not Nishaktik Nirakar. The spiritual sky is full of variety. The spiritual sky is full of personalities with form, with spiritual form. And then Madhvacharya came and he established Dvaitavad, material nature and spiritual nature. The two different nature altogether. This material nature is the external energy of the Lord, and the spiritual nature is the internal nature of the Lord. Material nature is a reflection in the elements of the material, or in the reflection in matter. But the reality is the spiritual sky. So in this way, there was an apparent conflict between Shankaracharya's Kevala Dvaitavad and Vaishnava's Vishishta Dvaitavad, or Dvaita Dvaitavad, or Dvaita Dvaitavad. I'm sorry, Madhvacharya is Dvaita Dvaitavad, not Dvaitavad. Dvaita Dvaitavad. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and harmonized this two conflicting concepts through his Achinta Bheda Bhed Tattva. Achinta, and there is a simultaneous, there is a Bhed and Abhed, difference and non-difference. And what is the difference? Or say, what is the non-difference? What is the Abhed? Abhed is both are spiritual. The jivas are spiritual and Ishvara is spiritual. But the jivas are minute, Ishvara is absolute. Qualitatively they are same, but quantitatively they are different. Both are Satchidananda. Both are spiritual. Jiva is spiritual, Ishvara is spiritual. But the jivas are minute, Ishvara is absolute. Just like a drop of water is water and the ocean also is water. So drop of water is qualitatively one with the ocean. But the drop of water is just a drop and the ocean is the vast reservoir. Will anybody call a drop as ocean? No. Although it's water. So similarly, the jivas are always jivas, although spiritual, but Ishvara is always Ishvara. Jivas can never become Ishvara. And nowadays we see so many misconceptions flowing, like when people come and, aap bhi Bhagavan hai. You are also God. Everyone is God. Is everyone God? It's because of that misconception that ultimately everything is Brahman. So there's no harm in saying that everyone is God. Because there is no God. Everything is ultimately Brahman. And what is God then? What is Ishvara or what is Narayan, what is Vishnu. They all are in the mode of Jiva, in the mode of goodness. Rather, Brahman in the mode of goodness. Everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khallidam Brahma. Everything is Brahma. But Brahma in mode of ignorance are the jivas. Brahman in the mode of passion are jivas. Maybe in the Brahman in the mode of ignorance are animals. Brahman in the mode of passion are human. And Brahman in the mode of goodness is Narayan, God. So that is the misconception. But then when the Brahman will become free from mode of goodness, then Brahman will become Brahman. So Narayan will become ultimately Brahman. All the forms are the gods or incarnations. They are in the mode of goodness, and the sannyasis also are in the mode of goodness, and they will become Brahman when they become free from the mode of goodness. So that misconception is still prevalent. Now it is important to see, like, what did Shankaracharya do? Shankaracharya drove away Buddhism out of India. Now it is important to note, what is Prabhupada's pranam mantra, the second part of Prabhupada's pranam mantra? Nirvishesha shunnavadi paśyatas. Srila Prabhupada drove away Nirvisheshvad and Shunnavad from the Western world. Western world is in the grip of Nirvisheshvad and Shunnavad, impersonalism and voidism. So Srila Prabhupada came to drive away this impersonalism and voidism. And when it is driven away out of the West, it will be driven out of this world. Because that is the seat of Nirvisheshvad and Shunnavad. But unfortunately in India also, now Prabhupada drove Nirvisheshvad and Shunnavad out of the Paśyata desha. But what is happening with India? Now India is in the grip of Nirvisheshvad and Shunnavad. So who is going to drive it out? Anyway, Nirvisheshvad and Shunnavad, we have to make it a point to drive it out of India. Now of course Shankaracharya also had Naga sannyasis, but we don't have. Our sannyasis are not going to take to violence. Naga sannyasis did take to violence actually to drive out Buddhism. But that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with a very special weapon. What is the weapon that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with? Naam, Prem. Naam, which is Prem. With love and propagation of the holy name, which is synonymous to love of Godhead, these negative effect which is actually establishing or prevailing in this world in the form of adharma will be eradicated. Sometimes people wonder, why are you so strong against Mayavad? Because that's our business. We cannot tolerate that concept, aap bhi Bhagavan hai. मैं भी भगवान, आप भी भगवान, सब भगवान. मैं भी भगवान, आप भी भगवान, सब भगवान, केवल भगवान भगवान नहीं है. केवल कृष्ण भगवान नहीं, बाकी सब भगवान. That is the unfortunate conclusion. So we have to remove that misconception by establishing proper siddhanta. We are prepared to discuss with anybody. Prepared to discuss with anybody. Come, well, let's discuss. And don't worry, we are not going to get into an unpleasant conflict. We are not going to discuss like, okay, come. You also talk sense, we also talk sense, and let us see what is the right understanding. Can anybody defeat Ramanujacharya's points? What he is pointing, the points, defects that he is pointing out in Mayavad. The rope, the example of a rope and snake and mirage. Brahm. Rajote, Shuktite Rajot Brahm, Morichikai, Jal Brahm, and Rajjute Sharpa Brahm. That Brahm. But why is that Brahm? Brahm is there, mistake is there, misconception is there, illusion is there. But the point is, somewhere the real thing must be existing, that's why mistaking the reflection to be real. So that's why it's so interesting to preach. Of course, early India had one very nice system. When they used to follow the Vedic culture, there was a system that if you are defeated by somebody, then you have to accept his Siddhanta. If you are defeated by somebody, you have to accept him as a superior. You have to surrender yourself to his teachings. You have to accept him as your guru and become his disciple. But nowadays, that's not happening. They keep on arguing. And that was like, the qualification was a consideration. Okay, you want to discuss on the basis of the Vedas. Have you studied Vedas? How many Vedas you studied? One Veda? Okay, you are a Vedi. You become expert in two Vedas, you are a Duvedi or Dube. Vedi, Dube. We have these titles now. Then Trivedi and Chaturvedi. And then we have to, and the discussion must take place on the basis of the Vedas. Now they don't discuss on the basis of the Vedas. They discuss on the basis of science. Such and such scientist said this is right. Such and such scientist came, or such and such scientist came, said that man came from monkey. And then ultimately everything came from dinosaurs. And so on and so forth. And then they're making movies. They're even more authentic. I have seen it in the movie, so it must be absolute truth. In the movies they have said that from a dinosaur's fossil, another dinosaur could be created. I have seen it in the movie. Jurassic Park. So that must be absolute truth. So this is how the whole society has become confused. And now to defeat them and bring them back to the right understanding is not going to be an easy task. So we have to become convinced about the reality and then pursue that reality, course of reality, and educate others with this understanding. And we are seeing intelligent class of people are responding all over the world. Those who are many followers of Srila Prabhupada, many devotees of ISKCON are coming from very well-versed, well-educated background. Your name is Narottam. Narottam is, you are an engineer, right? So he is an engineer, he is a full-time devotee now. Why did you accept it?
Why?
I thought Darwin's theory is very appealing.
Unfortunately, I never remembered our theory. I was with this Prabhupada.
So Prabhupada's teaching actually pointed out the defect of Darwin's theory. Like we can see that these people, in the name of science, they're cheating people. They're cheating. Did they ever prove? For so many years, they're establishing, it's been over 200 years now, or at least 150 years. But in 150 years, did we see a single monkey becoming a human being? Did you ever see a monkey giving birth to a human being? So the monkeys are still here, human beings are still here. Now, if it was an organic evolution, then why didn't all the monkeys become human beings? With time, with evolution, all monkeys now should have been human beings. There shouldn't have been any monkey left. But it's the reverse is working. The human beings are giving birth to monkeys nowadays. Human beings are becoming monkeys. And they say, life comes from matter. And we ask, okay, prove it. Life comes from, they say life actually came from certain chemical combination. Assembled of some condition, some atoms and molecules became together and life came. So if that is your theory, why don't you prove it in your laboratory? Show all the chemicals are available. Why don't you create life out of that? They say we'll do it tomorrow. Just now coming. And it's going on for hundreds of years. Just now coming. Prabhupada used to call it giving a post-dated check. You don't have money in the bank account. You give a post-dated check. Today I don't have money. Tomorrow I'll put the money in the bank and then you can put the check. And these post-dated checks are being given, which are never going to be cashed. All kinds of cheating going on in the name of science. And they're substantiating, okay, we have invented so many things. Yes, you have invented something. But the bottom line, we are not saying that you don't deserve any credit. Yes, we give you credit. But what we cannot accept is that you are saying that matter is the source origin of life. Life comes from matter. Just accept that simple concept. Life comes from life. It's a living father uniting with a living mother gives birth to a living child. Can dead matter give birth to a living body? Or can a dead matter give birth to a dead matter also? If we put this table and bring another table and put it next to this table, will there be a third table born out of them? So let us accept the fact that life comes from life. And then when the soul leaves the body, what happens? It becomes dead body. Okay, you can't create another new life. Then why not make a dead body alive? All the chemicals are there. So why not they bring a dead body to life? You can't do that. And ultimately Prabhupada gave a challenge. That what to speak of life, just produce one grain of rice in your laboratory. We don't have to create human beings, just produce a grain of rice. Produce a seed of a tree in your laboratory. That you'll plant it in the soil and another tree will come out. Produce just one such thing. But you can't. So why are you unnecessarily arguing on that point? And then everything becomes easy. If you accept the soul being non-material, soul being spiritual, then another dimension, another world opens up. That is the spiritual reality. The soul comes from the spiritual sky. Now let's go to the spiritual sky and see what the spiritual sky is like. Spiritual sky is full of spiritual beings. And the supreme spiritual being is God. Very simple conclusion. Even a child can understand. So that is the thing that has been pointed out here in the purport. Srila Prabhupada emphatically pointed out that impersonalism is an evil that is prevailing in the society that has to be removed. This misconception must be rectified. The world has seen a lot of progress, but this progress will become properly effective when people recognize the existence of God and recognize themselves to be the servants of God and become engaged in His loving devotional service. Then the whole world will become such a beautiful place. But in spite of so much progress, look what we have today. In spite of so much progress, there is so much violence, so much terrorism, and they are not going to decrease if we follow the course of this atheistic concept. Then the world will become more and more violent. There will be more, and the terrorism will become more and more prevalent. But if we accept this concept of spiritual reality and our existence continuing beyond this life, and our goal is to go back to the spiritual sky where we came from, then everybody will become so effectively engaged in this pursuit of this ultimate goal. And then the world will become such a beautiful place. Thank you all very much. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any question? Yes, Arti.
She said that humans are becoming monkeys. I actually think that they're becoming pigs. Yesterday on the internet there was a short news snippet saying that great breakthrough has come in genetically modifying pigs so that their organs can be transplanted into humans. So the process has started.
Well, they need that. The pigs need pigs' organs to behave like a. I mean, they are behaving like a pig now. And actually, what will happen eventually? Those who are behaving like a pig, they don't have to transplant the pig's organ. They'll get the body of a pig. Maybe you can tell that, respond that in the internet. Don't have to trouble so much. Don't have to worry so much and take so much trouble. In course of time, you'll get an entire pig's body with all the pig's organs to become a perfect pig.
It's just a little bit serious, no? What I could understand, the Buddha managed to convert the whole India to Buddhism, and then Sankaracharya's teachings had a very huge effect by practically destroying Buddhism.
Not destroying, but driving it out of it.
Driving it out. And then it seems Ramanujacharya's teachings had less effect, as Mayavadis are still so huge all over. And then Madhvacharya and Chaitanya, they followed, and progressively they brought the understanding to a higher plane. Now it seems also that the purer the philosophy became, the smaller the audience were.
Okay, very good point. Very good point. You know why? Because this is the age of adharma. Because this is the age of adharma,